I talked about this video the other day on my channel, but these people seem to think that like Germany was this a-religious, like an atheist country or something.
You can pinpoint when German society changed direction, and it was this book, the first German translation of Darwin's The Origin of Species.
That's not true. I mean, German society was always kind of taken by the idea of supremacy, thanks to like their deity Odin and Thor. They believed that they were superior. I'll give them this, though. German society, already being attached to this idea of superiority, used scientific excuses for their racism, as every culture does. They look for excuses to justify their existing beliefs. I just look at abortion right now. In the United States, abortion is loathed by the right, by evangelicals. Except the Bible's in favor of abortion. It is pro-abortion. It isn't about loving Darwin or whatever. It's about finding an excuse to justify your disgusting beliefs.
It was published in 1860. It was translated by Heinrich Braun, a naturalist and paleontologist. Braun did not entirely agree with Darwin, but on one vital point they did agree. There was no God.
That is not true. I don't know about this Heinrich Braun person. He wasn't a paleontologist. He was a botanist. And Darwin was not an atheist. But okay. I mean, I don't know about that guy. Maybe he was not. Maybe he was religious too. This is just lie after lie after lie all the way down.
No creator. Man had evolved by totally natural, unguided means.
That's not true. Nobody believed that at the time.
Were we just animals? Was it science? Or was it just moral philosophy? One thing's for sure. Removing God from society has moral consequences.
But that's not what happened. Germany had 95% Christians, 3.5% religious, and 1.5% atheist. That is incredibly religious, especially compared to the United States. Oh my God. You couldn't operate without being part of like, you know, Christianity generally. The Jews had to work together to survive because nobody would buy from their stores or anything. They were derided and hated, like long before Darwin released his book or whatever. Like these beliefs weren't even based on science, truthfully. The editor of the magazine Der Stürmer, which is like the propaganda magazine for Germany at the time that worked for Hitler, the Nazi propaganda magazine, they had this belief that if a male mammal mated with a female mammal, then that male mammal would contribute basically its genes to any offspring that the female had for the rest of its life. So if a woman dates a Jewish guy and they sleep together and they break up and 50 years later she's married to an Aryan and she's also an Aryan, the Jewish guy's genes will remain in her and manifest through like the children that she has. So if a woman sleeps with a Jewish man, she's tainted forever, and vice versa. I think primarily that way, though, with the man sleeping with the woman. That's completely like ascientific. That doesn't match up with literally anything about science. So Germans took scientific ideas and bastardized them, twisted them around to fit their own interests, their own ends, and justify their own atrocious beliefs, basically, is the point here. It wasn't about Darwinism. It wasn't like a justification for blah, 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 whatever. Darwinism was just like a component of everything, and it was completely twisted around. It wasn't even Darwinism by the time they got their hands on it.
How could the Church of Germany...
Anyway, the point is that it's not like, it wasn't a-religious, it's the point.
The amount of the acknowledgement of the one true God by that nation.
So he's saying if a nation accepts God, it will be successful. It's a causal relationship. Except Germany was ultra mega religious, ultra mega Christian, and all that shit happened anyway.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, so see, in America, even our money declares in God we trust.
Yeah.
I already went through this, but I don't want to again. I think that In God We Trust was added to paper money in like 1950 something, 56 or something like that. And it was a method of fighting godless commies. That's why it was added. Same reason why they put under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. They were trying to fight godless commies. Has nothing to do with the founding fathers or whatever.
It does.
In America, I remember studying this when Benjamin Franklin, he proposed that the Great Seal would be Pharaoh in the Red Sea and Moses at the Red Sea.
Really?
Benjamin Franklin? What? 1957. Thank you, Nerico, for that. 1954 was Under God in the Pledge. 1957 was In God We Trust on the Money. That's what it was.
He proposed that the Great Seal would be Pharaoh in the Red Sea and Moses at the Red Sea.
Really? He did?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah. And so that was a proposal of the first seal.
Yeah.
He wanted it to be that. And, when you start looking at, I just say some things here before we jump into it.
Yeah. No, you did good.
After we had won our independence from Britain and we won that war, the American peace treaty that sealed that in Paris, happened after that was
the peace treaty that sealed the victory in the Revolutionary War. Is that the Treaty of Tripoli? Is that what that is? That was in 1805. No. Paris Treaty 1783 ended the American Revolutionary War, established peace between the U.S. and Great Britain. Okay. Treaty of Paris. Yeah. What about it?
You can go and see where they sealed it with the signers of the peace treaty. There was 4 signatures on it. There was David Hartley, the British ambassador, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and John Jay. They all signed this peace treaty. But Steve, at the top of the peace treaty, it was titled this. It was titled, "In the Name of the Most Holy and Undivided Trinity."
Really?
Oh, you know what? I think I remember something about this. Hang on. Let me look this up real quick. So it says, "In the name of the most holy and undivided Trinity, it having pleased the divine providence to dispose the hearts of the most serene," blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I remember this. It was written in part by, let me just double check. I believe this was written in part by John Adams. He was a religious nutcase. B, it was written to work with other countries that were religious and had state churches. You can deny it until you're blue in the face. The United States was a secular government. It was a secular government, intentionally. And C, what was C? Oh, and C, this is like one of 2 examples of any religious language of any sort in any official government documents. There was one, the Declaration of Independence wasn't even talking about God. It was talking about like nature or whatever. But okay, all right, we'll count that one, fine. And then the Treaty of Paris, the Paris Treaty of 1783, number 2. Now, how many treaties have we signed over the centuries that didn't include any mention of God intentionally? The Constitution doesn't include mention of God. Nothing does. These people are just desperate to cram their religious nonsense down everyone's throats. Why did the Treaty of Paris contain religious language? It granted Canadians freedom to practice their Catholic religion. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. The treaty stated the British would give orders to ensure that their new Roman Catholic subjects could practice their religion according to the rites of the Roman Catholic Church. Treaty was officially written in French, and Section 4 of the treaty acknowledged the possibility of practicing Catholic religion in French. Okay, that makes sense, because Britain had a state church, right? And the Canadians at the time were basically the British soldiers that fought the Americans, and when the war ended, they went up to Canada and lived there. French and British soldiers both went up there, went to the north, because where the hell else are they going to go? So it makes sense that this treaty allowed these subjects to separate from the Catholic Church. Okay, interesting. There you go. Now we know. I'm sure I don't need to point it out, but this is just another example of Robin Bullock just straight up lying or twisting things around to fit his own interests and beliefs.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's in the peace treaty signed in Paris
Gee, my
by our
goodness.
founders. And
I didn't
so,
know that.
yeah, just, we might as well say some of this.
Yeah.
One of the signers of the Declaration of Independence was John Witherspoon.
Here we go. So out of how many? 40 something? How many people signed it? 56 people. I was close. 56 people. He picks out one of them. All right. One out of the 56 people. Lay it on me. What did this 1 out of 56 do?
And a lot of people don't even know who that is that signed
No.
it. But listen what he said. This is what he said. He said, I entreat you in the most earnest manner to believe in Jesus Christ, for there is no salvation in any other. Acts
Wow.
5:12. He said, if you're not reconciled to God through Jesus Christ, you are not clothed with the spotless robe of his righteousness. You must forever perish.
Bro, are you kidding me right now? He's picking out the most obscure examples of things he can possibly find and holding it up as not the exception as it is, but the rule. Give it a rest, seriously.
That was John Witherspoon who signed the Declaration.
When did he say that? Related at that event?
Yeah, because it wasn't at the event, I guess.
Oh, no, it wasn't? Huh, how about that? So you're just telling me some shit that people said totally unconnected to anything at all? Yeah, people said all kinds of shit. I bet Ben Franklin said, go get dressed, you disgust me one time. But I have no idea, like that wasn't connected to like the signing of anything, right?
Yes, but that's one of his
One of his sayings.
comments.
Yeah.
Listen what John Adams said. John Adams.
Oh my God, John Adams is terrible. He was a Christian nationalist and he contributed to the Constitution multiple times, and they kept scrapping copies of the Constitution because he kept adding religious shit to it. Everyone kept saying, John, stop it. We're starting over because your stupid ass added this stuff. And they crumple it up and threw it in a trash can and started from zero. And his stupid ass came in again and started writing religious shit into it. They did this like 3 times or something. They intentionally, specifically excluded things that John Adams wrote in the Constitution because they did not want religious shit in the Constitution.
I'm just going to read about 4 of these.
Yeah, go ahead. This is fascinating.
The general principles on which the fathers achieved independence were the general principles of Christianity. John Adams.
Yeah, he's completely full of shit.
John Adams, the second president of the United States, said that. George Washington said this.
I don't know. I don't believe pretty much anything that people say about George Washington.
Of all the habits and the dispositions which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are the indispensable supports.
I'm sorry, I don't believe that one. Hard doubt. George Washington was not religious. He just wasn't.
That
So
was
good.
Okay, now Sam Adams, who is the father of the Revolution, he said, I rely
I thought he made a beer.
upon the merits of Jesus Christ for a pardon of all my sins.
Amazing.
Samuel Adams.
There are people that claim that he wasn't, that we didn't have holy foundations with our spiritual, our foundation.
We didn't have religious foundations in the United States. We didn't. We did not have that. You can claim we did until you are blue in the face, but it's a lie. The U.S. government was intentionally, specifically set up to be secular. Secular.
Fathers, you're just proving that completely
Well,
bogus.
and this is just 4. We could go
Yeah, it's only 4 because that's all you could come up with. Why did he stop there, I wonder?
on probably all day if we just started throwing them up there.
It's unbelievable.
But these, think about this. So, it was Benjamin Franklin. They said he was the most secular of them all.
Yeah.
Well, he's
Benjamin Franklin? Who said that? I didn't say that. I would say Thomas Jefferson was the most secular. They were all secular. You mean the most, atheistic? I would say Thomas Jefferson. All of them were secular except, all of them were secular except for John Adams and, 1 or 2 other founding fathers, of the core founding fathers.
the one that said, he said, if a sparrow can't fall without God seeing it, how does an empire rise without his aid? You don't.
Don't tell that to Germany.
And
Well, it has a different definition of being the most secular, because anyone that would say that publicly today,
that's the
we
truth.
would never say this is a secular.
That's the truth, Steve.
Yeah,
These people are like these two people right here specifically. Do they know that they're lying, or are they just dumb as dog shit? I mean, really, think about this. Did they get this information from somebody and like that led them to believe that it's more religious than it actually is? Or did they go in search of this nonsensical garbage to prove it or whatever? Adam was a decent president, from my understanding. I believe he was a decent president, yes, but he was a total scumbag, actually, and obsessed with religion. And his wife Abigail was a fucking nutcase too.
no.
And what about this? You know, when they got into an argument, when George Washington was residing as the president over the trying to ratify the Constitution and all that,
Yeah.
and he was residing as the president, they wanted him there because he had such influence. So this was before he was president. So he's there and he's residing over. They can't come to agreement, and it's about to break all to pieces. So Benjamin Franklin stands up, him being the oldest of them all at the time. He said,
Oh, he's going to tell this story about Benjamin Franklin, like at the end of his life, calling for prayer or something. I don't remember.
you know, when we were in our struggle in the war for independence, he said we always would call on our divine friend. And he said we would call on him and he would answer our prayers every
Okay, I don't remember that.
time.
Gee.
He said, have we forgotten our great friend that always delivered us? And he said, I propose that we all adjourn for a while and go seek him.
That specific thing he did say, apparently. I looked this up. Kind of surprised by that, but okay. Anyway, this guy is absolutely dead set on just lying and like being deceitful about this whole thing. He is obsessed with convincing people of complete bullshit.
Oh
And
my
ask
goodness.
his help. He did, brother.
Any leader today on
Yeah.
either party who would say
Yeah.
those things, people would accuse him of being,
Oh, yeah.
bringing your Christianity into this and all of.
Bro, what are you talking about? People say that shit all the time. Jack Hibbs gave a prayer like in front of Congress recently. Hold on. Yeah, in front of the House of Representatives right here. This is from January 30th, 2024.
Father of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, together we come before you in humility as a people in need of your forgiveness, your mercy, your goodness, and your grace. For these 250 so years, our fathers in this Congress have prayed for your guidance and protection. And so we stand here in humble petition that you today might do the same, that this nation and its unparalleled Constitution, your great gift to all freedom-loving people, might be renewed here and across this land.
I mean, and this is the same guy that says shit like this.
It's the Bible's version of the Ten Commandments, which, if obeyed, everybody's going to live, nobody's going to get murdered, and kids are going to stop lying about what happened to their homework, and teachers are not going to be kids anymore.
And here's another one from this guy.
The Democrat Party is a death cult. Every single Democrat voted to kill babies up in Sacramento last week out of the womb. Kill them. Kill them, they said. Kill them.
Democrats said that they want to actively are looking for an opportunity to kill babies. Really? What do you even do with this shit? Here's another.
Until God comes back, he's given us the opportunity to choose leaders. And California has been groaning, and I just want to submit this to you. Don't you think maybe it's time where a particular party has had absolute unchecked rule and have crushed this state on every angle?
Democrats, complete unfettered rule over the United States. Totally. Absolutely.
Why don't you join with us in an experiment to try something different, to try getting back to things that made California great in the first place? And to make some history while you're at it. You know, today everybody's talking about Antifa and critical race theory and
Who is everybody? You mean you specifically?
BLM, I've seen churches now, instead of putting the gospel on the marquee of the church, that church now says Black Lives Matter.
Really? Okay, so they're teaching the religious message of Black Lives Matter?
But they got the acronym wrong, BLM. It really means because Larry matters. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Larry Elder.
So this guy, Larry Elder, running for governor of California, I think, he was endorsed from the pulpit, campaign contributions collected on his behalf from people in the pews, and he gave a political speech from the stage of a church. Now, what was all of that about? People can't be political in can't be political in churches today.
That,
They're not supposed to be, but they do anyway, obviously.
but listen to that. Oh my
Yeah.
God! No wonder no wonder God who helped sow that in. I mean, it was the choice of man by the Spirit of God, but they sowed that, for lack of a better word, into the foundation of this nation. No wonder He's been with us for so many years.
Well, now that's my point. I'm glad you said it like that, because that's what I'm trying to get to. Listen to this. Then the Lord said this to me: does the nation depend on Him, the one true God, for their existence? Now, this is a nation. Remember, a nation, how big God gets involved is how much that nation will acknowledge Him in what they do. So how do you acknowledge Him? Well, you have to ask yourself these questions. Does the nation depend on Him for their existence? Does the nation acknowledge that He is their power?
Again, Germany did this. They were really big on Jesus, like really big on Jesus. The United States has something like 70% Christian and 25% non-religious, or just like don't identify with the church at all. And then like a small grouping are like Jewish or Muslim or Buddhist or whatever other thing. 70% or something is Christian. 70% in the United States. Germany was 98.5% religious, 95% Christian. How can they possibly say something so stupid?
The nation acknowledge that He is their life and that He's the one responsible for their existence. Well, it's obvious that we did in America in our founding. It's obvious our founding fathers did, just listening to some of this.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So the deeper the dependence on God and the acknowledgement of the one true God. Now, when I say the one true God, it's the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the King of glory. Then that nation is a nation that shall never die. That nation shall be marked as a great nation among the powers of the world.
Now, what you just read, did you write that, or?
Yeah, the Lord gave.
The Lord gave it to him, he said. Okay, so all of this nonsense was written in biblical language, and he claims that God told him this information. Oh my God, dude, come on.
Gave me all that.
Okay, awesome. Okay, it's a word from
And
the Lord.
so said, for the prayers
It's a word from the Lord, he says.
of a nation directed to the unseen God of Israel is always backed by the miraculous powers of heaven.
Wow.
Providence, our founding fathers called the hand of God.
Yeah.
But it is the hand of the living God.
I see. So he's talking about providence in reference to the Paris Treaty or whatever, because it says providence in there. Providence was not always referring to the hand of God. In fact, a lot of the time it was specifically not referring to the hand of God. But okay, whatever. I mean, this is just one of many holes that should be poked.
Now,
Nice.
if we start this program out with that,
Yeah.
and we realize what he said in the beginning, the greatness of a nation depends on the amount of the involvement of the one true God in that nation. And the amount of the involvement of the one true God in that nation depends on the amount of the acknowledgement of the one true God by that nation. So we see our founders acknowledged him in every way. in every form, in everything they said.
That's just a lie. He gave an example of one signer of the Declaration of Independence, one that said some religious shit, and it wasn't even connected to the signing event. 1 out of 56. He is such a joke.
John Carroll was the last living signer of the Declaration and the Constitution. He's the last one. He, when they asked him, said, are you ready to meet the Lord? Because he was the last one. And they asked him to make a statement on the Declaration, what he thought. He gave all honor to God and Jesus Christ.
Okay, so he was a religious nutcase. What's your point here?
For the nation that we live in today.
I mean, is this even true? I'm taking some of this for granted when I shouldn't be.
It was obvious who they acknowledged and when asked who they gave credit for building this nation, it was people, it was all ministers. All ministers.
Like, this is all just a lie. This whole thing is him lying.
Black and white.
Yeah.
They gave credit to.
The founding fathers who signed a Declaration of Independence, all 56 or whatever it was, gave credit to black people and white people for building the country and being religious. This is just alternate history, right? This does not match up with reality in any way.
Very cool.
That was our founding fathers that gave credit to the ministers. And the Declaration of Independence was actually written out of sermons preached.
That's just a lie. It's all a lie, every bit of it. The Declaration of Independence was a compilation of sermons.
And if that's true, if that's true about if they were crediting black,
but it's not,
and white,
they
white
did.
And black ministers, think of it. That was a long time ago before the Emancipation Proclamation.
It was.
Wow.
Absolutely, it was. So
why would they? I'm trying to write this down as he says all this stupid shit. Why would the founding fathers support the black community and say they assisted in like building this country, but still explicitly choose not to free slaves? Declaration of Independence was a compilation of sermons. Dude, what is this guy wearing? Oh, it's a Star of David on his. Why is he wearing that? This is so weird to me. Like, Christianity is founded on Judaism, obviously, right? Like its whole basis is Judaism. It's kind of like our origin myth. It comes from Judaism. In Germany, the right wing, the Volkish people knew that was the case and tried to find a way to replace Judaism. They were what was it called? De-Judaifying, I think is what they called. De-Judaifying Christianity. So they found new origin myths to fit in the place of Judaism within Christianity's lore. They found new heroes to look up to and everything else. It's absolutely fascinating, but that's why people believe that the Nazi Party is really a pagan cult, because they replaced Jewish stuff with like Aryan myths, basically. But it was really Christianity. Just had like a different basis, basically. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's like these people went in a different direction with all of it, Like this guy is going around waving like Jewish hand symbols around and wearing like stars of David. He's got a shofar in the background and a staff and stuff. It's just wild to me how these people like leaned into Judaism rather than separating from it. Fascinating.
And I started talking about it today on the 11th hour. And I believe that's why the Lord wanted us to do this on Tuesdays, because we could expound more and we could talk about things from there to here. And I invited everybody on the 11th hour to come and tune in with me and you here.
Oh my God. The Lord told me that I should be talking to you after my sermon rather than the other way around. Okay.
A few minutes, when I left there.
The Lord told me to give you a shout out so that your channel grows.
And so I want you to listen to Proverbs chapter 1.
Okay.
And of course, y'all have the ability to put it up there.
Yeah.
It's in verse 8. We'll
I've never actually seen them put up anything on like I think this is Zoom they're using.
start. It says, My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. For they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. Now watch verse 10 and 11.
Okay.
It says, My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, Come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us lurk
Like, what point is he making? I don't understand.
privily for the innocent without a cause. He says, don't consent to that. Don't do that. And then I have a picture on my screen here of this medical van they pulled up in front of the DNC.
Oh no, is this a new conspiracy theory?
They pulled this up in front of the DNC, and this is I'm looking at a picture of it, and this is the caption. Chicago, we're headed your way to provide free vasectomies and abortions. And it says, they're saying, let us swallow them alive as the grave and whole as those that go down into the pit.
They weren't giving abortions and vasectomies out of a van, okay? That wasn't happening. I looked into it. They set up basically like mobile field hospitals, effectively, with clean rooms and sterile everything, where they can perform like necessary medical procedures safely. But okay, yeah, I get they're doing out of a van. Fine, whatever. Go on.
See, immediately he said, don't consent to those who say, let us lay in wait for innocent blood. And the Democrats roll up a truck out in front of their conventions. And they kill the seed in the man.
Okay, wow. See, this is fascinating. I always wondered how far back this is going to go. It's obvious that Republicans have been trying everything possible to get rid of abortion, right? And they claimed life begins at conception. Life begins at conception. That's all I heard for a while. But I was like, well, why does it stop there? Why not go even further back? Like, aren't your cells alive? Isn't like, say, the egg cell, a living cell? Is a miscarriage a murder or something? Or like a death? Should we be like holding a funeral for miscarriages? And here we are, listening to them take it back, an additional step. It doesn't just start at conception. It starts even further back than that. Wow. I saw this coming, but I was still surprised.
And the Democrats roll up a truck out in front of their conventions. And they kill the seed in the man before it can produce, and kill the child in the womb after the seed is already conceived. And they secretly laid wait for innocent blood outside their convention. And
For innocent blood. Oh my God. Yeah, because they think that abortion is like a sacrifice to Satan, basically. That like you're trying to do like a child blood sacrifice or whatever. Oh my God.
bragged about
Who's up for some barbecue baby legs? I'm in. Find the legs. I'll bring the barbecue. We'll make it happen.
how many children they had aborted
You
while it
know,
was going.
Sorry, let's step back.
Secretly laid wait for innocent blood outside their convention, and bragged about how many children they had aborted.
I don't remember anybody bragging about anything. I don't know what you're talking about here, but okay. I mean, it's a good thing for people to receive health care that they need and not be forced into doing something that they are not ready for. You think a 14-year-old kid should have a baby, should be forced to have a baby? Is that what you're telling me right now? What if this girl gets pregnant? Hell, let's say it's even like just an accident. Like she did it unintentionally, but it wasn't like, it was still consensual, just unintentional. You're trying to tell me that a 14-year-old is ready to have a baby, mentally and physically mature enough to do that? Really? What the is wrong with you? And it, by the way, it's also really weird how much these people think about like other people's junk and other people's bodies and stuff. They just say weird shit. Like JD Vance says we shouldn't be allowing childless cat ladies to make decisions for our country, right? because they don't have children, so they don't matter. Their voices are irrelevant. Doesn't matter if they're citizens here. They don't have children, so whatever. So Taylor Swift signs her thing, childless cat lady. Signs like her endorsement of Kamala Harris as childless cat lady. And Elon Musk comes out and says, I mean, J.D. Vance's statement was weird in its own right. But then Elon Musk says, fine, you win, Taylor. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life. That is a weird thing to say to somebody. Why did that pop into his head? And why, like, what system is missing in there that prevents you from saying things like that or even thinking them? Something is broken in here for him to have even, like, for that to cross his mind. Jesus Christ, bro.
You
What
know,
was going on?
a whole lot.
Like, the point is that these people are so weird. They are so weird. And they don't seem to get that. Do they not have, like, one single friend in their lives that'll say, don't say that shit. Don't say that. Just keep that to yourself. Certainly don't post it to millions of people on Twitter or whatever.
Laid wait for innocent blood outside their convention and bragged about how many children they had aborted.
You
What
know,
was going on?
a whole lot of people, including myself, would see that scripture and not realize how obvious that is as a correct interpretation of what that scripture
Sure.
is
Maybe because it's not. It's complete bullshit.
saying. That's amazing. It's
Yeah, it's not amazing. You're just
literally
It is.
lying in wait in the van
That's
for
the truth.
innocent blood.
no one was lying in wait, okay? It was an advertisement. They have mobile field hospitals for this.
To shed it.
Yeah, and they did it. And they did it, and they killed the seed in the man before it could produce and killed the child in the womb after it had produced.
So I guess they're saying vasectomies are bad now, right? I gotta write this one down. 3720. Hold on. Vasectomies are wrong. They're moving back. They keep taking steps back. Anybody else notice that? They start with this position and then they move back to another every time they gain ground in their direction. What's next? First, it was life at conception. Then, or now, I guess, it is no vasectomies. That's against God's law, too. No birth control is next. I mean, they've already been talking about no birth control. In fact, they've already been talking, when I say they, I mean like Steven Crowder, for example, and Robin Bullock, and, these guys, all of these people. They've already been talking about no-fault divorce. So not only are you not allowed to have an abortion if you're not ready to have a kid, say at 14 years old, you're also not allowed to use birth control. You're not allowed to get a vasectomy, and you're not allowed to leave your husband. You must stay with him. What's next? Where are they going to move to next? I can't imagine like a more extreme position than this, truthfully. How does it get more extreme than where they are? I say that now, and I may eat those words. In Germany in the 1920s and 30s, they had condom vending machines that you could go up there and get them. The political right, though, has always been opposed to abortion, fascinatingly, worldwide. Even though the Bible is in favor of abortion, says you should get an abortion, Numbers 5:11-23, the political right is still opposed to it. That is so fascinating to me. Why is the political right opposed to it? Hitler was opposed to it only if the person was Aryan, because you were taking out a potential superhuman, basically. Übermensch, if you will. He was fine with them taking out Untermensch, or subhumans, though, which is non-Aryans in his mind.
In other words, to kill off a generation.
Like, that's not what's happening.
To kill it off. And this scripture here said when they tell you come and do this with us, don't consent to that.
I have no clue what he's talking about.
And yet,
Yeah.
people to confront a generation with the truth becomes a difficult task when the truth has been completely diluted.
Yeah.
See, the truth has been diluted. But you listen to this. The only
Do I have to?
standard for the truth is the Bible. That's the only standard for the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah, except the Bible is not a standard for truth.
There's no other truth. All truth, Steve, is based on the Bible. All truth
But it's not.
is based on the truth of God. Truth is based on the truth of God. If there's any truth in anything, then it is carrying the DNA of God. If it's true, then it's carrying the DNA of God, at least in that part. That's true. Now, ideologies, if they're true, will carry God's DNA in that. Well, the scriptures
Carry God's DNA. What does that even mean? I don't understand.
say, now that's with ideas or physical truth. Well, the physical truth says this. It says that he created man in his own image and in his own likeness. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. This is the truth. And all truth concerning this will carry within it this DNA. So if it carries within it this DNA, then there's no way that transgenderism can be true.
What? How did he get there? Oh, I love this, dude. Let me write this one down. 39. If everything carries God's DNA, then transgenderism isn't true. What?
So if it carries within it this DNA, then there's no way that transgenderism can be true.
I love it, dude.
It can't be from God. There's no way. It can't be because it would carry the DNA of he created male and female.
Yeah.
Created he them.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Well, when you've got a man and you convince him that he's a woman, then the truth of God has been turned into a lie, and it's
Well, who is convincing a man that he is a woman?
not in that. There's no truth of God in that. See, all truth would carry the DNA of the truth in anything
Yeah.
it shows.
And you know, Robin, what strikes me is that, you know, you and I are close in age. In the 50s and 60s, we came up. If someone had told us in the 50s and 60s, the time is coming when men will say they're women and women will say they're men, and they'll.
Bro, you think that people were not trans in the 60s or the 70s? I got news for you. They absolutely, definitely, for sure were. There were trans people then too.
Call them transgender, we would go, what? You know, and you know, and the programs, the entertainment of those days was Red Skelton, and then he'd end the show every Saturday night. God bless, good night, God bless. You know, it was.
Yeah, the reason that happened is because there was such a massive push to turn society into like this religious extremist society to fight the godless commies. Like, it was not always like that.
You talked about a minute ago that the truth had been so watered down. It only took him about 6 generations or 6 decades, maybe I'll say it, maybe about 3 generations.
Sure.
And now they can just pull that on you, and people go, well, you know, it's a free choice.
Well, see.
Yeah, is it not a free choice? Can people not make their own decisions? Are you serious right now?
See what happens, and I talk.
You know, the answer is no. The answer is no, you shouldn't be able to make your own free choices, your own free decisions. They want to limit your ability to make choices for your own life.
About this a lot. See, I talk about the seed of the serpent.
Yeah.
The seed of the serpent is the DNA of the serpent. There's the whole fight is over the seed. Yeah. It's over that DNA.
What the hell is he talking about?
The whole thing is over it. I mean, that's what the fight's about.
When you say the DNA, are you the seed of the serpent? Are you talking about a spiritual DNA or the metaphorical DNA, or?
Yeah, what are you going on about, bro?
Are you talking about something?
I don't know that we're not talking about all the above.
Okay, all of the above.
Spirit, mental, physical, everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, when God.
Like, that did not help anything. I'm still so lost, it's not even funny.
Let me look right here. I want to show everybody something.
Okay.
It's in Genesis 1, verse 28. I want people to see this. And God blessed them. Now this is after, well, we start in verse 26 since we're talking about it. And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Now, I want everybody to notice, and I'm looking at it on the screen with you
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
He said, let them have dominion over
Mhm.
the fish of the sea, fowl of the air, cattle, over all the earth, every creeping thing that creepeth on the earth. Now, God is defining genders, animals, everything right here. And he said, you have dominion over all of this. Not identifying with them, you're over them.
Yeah.
You're above them. So he knew, now you got to watch this. Everybody needs to see this. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Now he's talked about male and female.
Okay. I'm not sure what this has to do with anything.
That's male and female, not animals, not cattle,
Right.
not fish.
Okay.
He said there's fish, cattle, all this, but then there's male and female who has dominion over all of that. Okay, now watch this close. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait a minute. Now, something has been mentioned that if you don't study, you'll never see it coming. God has told Adam something that he has to subdue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Steve, this is a perfect world. Adam has just been created. It's a perfect world. What's in it to subdue?
Yeah. Good question.
It is from the world before the implosion.
Okay, now hang on. So he's saying if the world is perfect, then there's nothing to subdue. You don't have to have dominion over things. Am I reading this correctly? And that's his interpretation of this. That means that the world wasn't perfect? I don't understand what his point is here.
Created. It's a perfect world. What's in it to subdue?
Yeah. Good question.
It is from the world before the implosion.
Okay.
In Genesis 1, where it says, in the beginning God created the heavens, the Hebrew says plural.
Wow, dude, his face just zoomed right up on me. I did not expect that.
Heavens and the earth was or became, that's the word became, without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So the earth became without form and void. So there's something else. God created it perfect according to Isaiah 40 and 45.
God created the earth perfect, okay?
In Isaiah 45, he created it not in vain.
Yeah.
He created it to be inhabited, Isaiah 45 tells us. Well, then something happened to make it that way. And whatever happened, he's referring to here that you're going to have to put that under your feet. You're going to have to put it down. And he says there's cattle, there's fish, there's fowl, and then there's you.
Okay, so he's saying that there's something bad happening in the world and you have to fight this evil? I don't understand. Am I missing something here?
And you're going to have to step on the head of something and put that thing down.
Yes, he is. Wow, so he's saying that God already knew that Satan was like roving around looking to cause problems and warned Adam and Eve about this? Is that right? Yeah, I decided to keep Venusaur because he's actually very powerful if he had any moves that were worth jack shit. So I just gave him some good moves. Magical Leaf, Leaf Blade, Cut, because I need Cut, and Frenzy Plant. I didn't know that, yeah, these aren't, I don't think that some of these are like Fire Red moves. Some of these are like from a different generation, but they're good moves. So I'll keep them.
It's good.
Or this stuff is going to get rearranged. It's
That's
all,
good.
he said, I'm giving you the order. And if you don't put down what's coming, you have dominion, subdue something. What is it? Well, it's Isaiah chapter 14. When Lucifer would walk up and down in the stones of fire, you've heard me talk about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And he would take the revelation, lift himself up and sing the revelation. He was a complete full instrument. The timbrels in him, the pipes in him, it would sound, the crystalline canopy around the earth was a PA system.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you hearing this? Oh, this is awesome. One more time. Let's just step back. So he's describing Adam and Eve, and the world that they lived in right now. This is funny as hell.
Stones of fire. You've heard me talk about
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And he would take the revelation, lift himself up, and sing the revelation. He was a complete, full instrument. The
Are we talking about God was a complete instrument, or are we talking about Adam was?
timbrels in him, the pipes in him, it would sound. The crystalline canopy around the earth was a PA system.
Oh my God. The canopy. So he's talking about canopy theory. God, I haven't heard about this since like Kent Hovind talking about it. Why were animals so gigantic, 6,000 years ago, according to Kent Hovind? I don't remember if Hovind endorses canopy theory or not now that I'm thinking about it, but he talks about it. Anyway, in canopy theory, the reason animals are so big is because there's an oxygen-rich atmosphere, because there's a gigantic ice canopy over top of the earth that surrounded the earth and created pressure on the earth with it was like an oxygen-rich environment or some other stupid shit. And when Noah's Ark happened, the ice canopy melted and rained a whole bunch. That's the whole bit. But in Robin Bullock's mind, it wasn't just for like high pressure environment or Noah's flood. It was also a PA system. Oh my God, dude. The canopy was a PA system to project music for Adam, I think.
That would reverberate the song of the revelation of God to all the creation. And then the day came, he found the revelation of the man, and it filled him with violence. And he went to the court of heaven in Psalm 8, and he complained about the man and told the man's dominion, his authority. Said, you've given him authority over everything that walks, crawls, swims, flies. You've set him above your heavens, everything you made with your fingers. And you made the sun, the moon, and the stars with your hands, your fingers, and you've given him the works over your dominion over the works of your hands. You crowned him with glory. He said, what is this man that you're mindful of him, or the Son of Man that you would visit him? And then he closes the courtroom. It's in a court setting.
Is he coming up with this stuff off the top of his head, or is he citing some ridiculous prophet? It's hard to tell. I mean, this guy makes some absolutely wild claims.
Hebrews 2 tells us this. If the people don't see this, they will never know what's happening at this moment in time. He says, when he closes the court case, and Hebrews 2 records it and says it's an angel protesting.
Yeah.
Protesting the man. So Isaiah 14 happens, and the song, Lucifer is supposed to sing it, and he says this, instead of man will be this, man will be above the stars of God, man will do this, man will do that. When the earth got ready, the music started, all the creation was ready to adjust itself for whatever was coming, and Lucifer sang, I will exalt my throne above the stars. I will be like.
Wait. Okay, so is Lucifer the good singer that like bounced his voice off the PA system of the ice canopy? Is that what he's saying? Wow, man, this is something else.
Like the Most High. I will do this. I will do that. And when he said that, in the Hebrew wording, some of those words, my throne, this, I will exalt my, and all of this, and leading up to it in verse 11, it says, I will have a back, eyebrows, and skin. It says,
he'll have a back, eyebrows, and skin?
Talks about blood bags, talking about he wanted to be a man.
Dude, I am so lost. What about blood bags now? We're talking about vampires? What are we going on about? I got to go back and listen to this later. Let's see. Blood bags. I'm just going to write that one down. Blood bags, question mark? Lucifer was the musician. Michael was the singer.